comes Woods for Oklahoma. Nolly for three. That's it. Right into the hands of Small, and that'll do it. Utah Valley advances to the semifinals of the NIT for the first time in school history.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Basketball in the Mountains. I am your host, as always, Tyler King, the college sports reporter for the Denver Gazette. And this is episode 34 and the second part of our 2025-26 season preview series. If you missed the first part of that, I talked with Wyoming coach Sundance Wicks to preview everything that's going on up there this season in Laramie for the Pokes. Appreciate his time. And now we're moving on to part two. Like I said, we're going to try to hit as many of these college teams as possible ahead of November 3rd, the big season, the big day, Monday, the season opener for everybody in the country. There are plenty of teams to get to, and I'm going to try my best to get to all of them, whether it's with the special guest or with somebody that I know in the media to help kind of get ready for and preview as many teams as possible. Like I said, hope to have some NBA coverage coming in the pipeline as well, with obviously the Nuggets, Jazz, and Suns all getting underway in about 2 weeks time, I should say, with the NBA season getting started. So we'll get you ready for the seasons here in Denver, Salt Lake, and then obviously in Phoenix as well. But we're getting back to the 25-26 college season preview series today. And to do so, we've got a reigning coach of the year in one of these conferences out here. We've got Coach Todd Phillips of the Utah Valley Wolverines. Coach, I appreciate you doing this.
You bet. Excited to be here.
All right, Coach, like I said, you guys are coming off a great season last year. Despite starting 5-6, you guys, I think, only lost 3 times after like December 18th. You're able to win the regular season in the WAC and come just within one game of getting to the NCAA tournament. Just kind of how special was that ride for your group last year, and kind of what can the carryover effect be from a season like that?
Yeah, I think it was a tremendous ride, a lot of fun. Obviously, I think the last 10 games, excuse me, it was just like every game mattered, right? Because Grand Canyon was chasing us, they're right on our heels. Basically, lose, and our guys know too. It's like you're going to lose the WAC season league championship, just by the way everything's sorted out with that. And so it was a lot of fun. I thought our guys stepped up. I think the biggest thing that we take away from that team is just trying to create that cohesiveness with your guys, right? It's, we work on X and O's every day. We watch film, we do all that. But at the end of the day, you got to get your guys to buy into what you're doing. And our guys last year were tremendous in buying in and playing their roles and being unselfish with one another, right? Not being jealous. Hey, this guy had a bunch of shots tonight and this guy missed. They just played together and it was all about winning.
Yeah, it's a third regular season conference championship for your program. At least since you've been there, obviously won it in 21 and 23 with Coach Madsen. Just kind of what have you liked about the progress? Obviously, you've been there since 2019 as an assistant, now going into year 3 as a head coach. Just kind of what have you liked about the progress of the program overall over the last during your time there?
Yeah, I think the same thing you like when you have players for multiple years, right? You get better as a coach. Your program kind of molds to what your vision is. And the same with players. When you have them multiple years, I think that's been a lot of our success is keeping kids. We've been losing a lot of good players every year, but those guys that are the next guys stepping up. We have multiple guys who are red shirts here, walk-ons here, who are now big parts of our program. And I think that's for us at the mid-major, the more of those guys we can keep, the more success we can have every year.
Yeah, you're just in that position where you're always fighting to keep your guys as much as possible, and obviously losing 3 of your key players from last year's team to high major programs. I'm sure you're happy to see those guys go on and get opportunities, but just kind of what's the key to retooling a roster that had a lot of talent and now you lost some of it? How do you get back and continue the progress you guys have made, like you said?
Yeah, I think work. There's no perfect answer. You recruit guys, you work to recruit those guys in, then you get your guys here and you're like, oh, this guy's not as good as this guy does this better than who we had last year. You just got to go to work, right? You go to work with who you have and your staff and your players. And I think guys continue to rise every year, and that's what's kind of cool about one of the positives of the portal is you're seeing new guys every year step up. We have some young new guys. We're excited to see what they can really do when the big lights come on, and so we're going to get after it.
What have you liked from obviously you got getting on the practice court the last couple weeks here with officially getting preparation for the season underway? Just kind of what have you liked about what you've seen from the group as a whole?
Yeah, it depends on the day to answer that question, to be honest. It's ups and downs right now. Some days we look like $1,000,000. Some days we look like 2 cents. And, I like again, our group to play together. They're unselfish. Obviously it starts with our point guard, who is a pass first guy who gets everybody involved. And so it's contagious with the rest of the team. I think guys sharing the ball, I've really liked with this group and in our ability, to have really good length and shoot the ball. I think those have been two big keys we went after in recruiting this year and like what we got.
You obviously it's not you didn't lose everybody. You got a couple returning guys that were that played I think at least 25 games or more last year. Trevin Lenhart, Jackson Holcomb, Hayden Welling, Noah Tates. Just kind of how important is that group for you at this point of the season, going in just kind of with the culture you've built there, and just kind of understanding the system and all that kind of stuff as you're getting ready for the season here.
Yeah, those guys are huge. They help, like you said, create your culture. They help continue the culture. The things you say to guys in video, in our meetings, those guys echo those things. They see the success of the guys before them, and they realize that they've bought in, they get that success as well. And so I think even though we have some young guys that didn't play a ton of minutes, we had guys that played significant minutes, made significant contributions throughout the year, and now they just got to be more consistent game in and game out to help the team.
Is there anybody of that group of returners that has really maybe taken a leap this summer that people should know about? Just 'cause obviously that's always going to be some of the unknowns for programs like yours is the work you guys put in over the summer and maybe some of the leaps that people don't see that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a little too soon to tell on that, but like what we've liked in the summer from those guys, obviously, Hayden Welling is a player who, we basically played 5 bigs last year and rotated him through, and, pat on the back to our staff. I thought we figured out and pulled the right strings all the time, because sometimes Hayden played 20 minutes, sometimes he played 5, just with how the game went. And so I think he's a guy who stepped up to be much more consistent this year. He's 6'9", he's out of his brother's shadow a little bit, and he's a really good player in his own right. He does some things actually better than Carter does. And so we're excited to see him, make that next step as a senior for us. I think Noah Tates has had a tremendous summer, being in the program now for year 2. As a kid who we knew could really shoot the ball, had some injuries. He's feeling a lot more healthy and really shooting the ball well for us. So I think those 2 guys have been big, and it's a hard thing is you talk about 2 guys, you probably got to talk about all the guys, but obviously Jackson Holcomb was a winner for us last year. That's just the best way to describe him. He just made winning plays all the time, and he's going to look to have more minutes this year for us. And so all those guys stepping up and put a little more pressure on them, as they go. And so we're excited for him. And Trev is who he is. He's one of the best point guards in the league, and will be that again this year for us. And so we're excited for those guys and what they're doing.
When you're looking at trying to bring in newcomers, obviously you're going to have to bring in multiple every year, just kind of with the state of college basketball these days. Kind of what's the balance for you of trying to find guys maybe that haven't had the playing time they want at a bigger program, or looking for more playing time and trusting the pedigree of those guys, or trying to get guys from a lower level that have proven it and have produced at a really high level, maybe just at a lower level, like I said?
Yeah, I think, when we talk about recruiting, all this stuff, I think the biggest thing that comes to my mind is the old Mike Tyson quote, right? He said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think recruiting is a lot like that. Hey, we want to bring in 3 big guys. We want to bring in 2 athletic wings. We need 2 shooters. Hey, we need another great point guard. You have all this plan. And then as you get out in the recruiting world, you find what you can get and find what fits you, and then kind of build it from there. I think we've done a really good job of trying to put guys in places of what we've done in the past for success. Our size, we got really good size again. We brought in a 6'11" kid from Utah, University of Utah, a 6'8" kid from Utah State, a 6'10" kid from CSI. So we got good size, which we've had a lot of success with size at our 4 and our 5, and then big long wings. Brought in a couple of JUCO kids and a couple of Division I kids, and you have that plan going in. It's like, hey, I got to get 3 kids from the portal, and they want to be from Power 5 or this or that, and then you find a really good NAIA kid. And so you just gotta go with the punches and figure it out as you go. And then, like late, obviously we knew we wanted some more size, so we went out and grabbed a big kid. But we're trying to get the best kids possible, and then it's our job as coaches to figure out how they all fit together.
Yeah, you in particular know more than anybody how much talent there is at some of the lower levels with where you started. Obviously, coaching Gary Payton II up at Salt Lake Community College. The one newcomer I wanted to ask about specifically was Tyler Hendricks, just because I think it's so cool that he's getting to be close to his brother Taylor, who's obviously a member of the Utah Jazz. Just kind of he had a breakout season last year at UCF. Like he really came on for that team. Just kind of what have you liked about what he's brought right away for you guys?
He just brings experience playing in the Big 12 for 3 years. He's a mature kid. He understands the process. He picks up our stuff really quick. It's just nice to have newcomers come in that can pick it up from day one and understand. I mean, his biggest strength is he just has such a great feel for the game and just knows how to play. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's had an injury, so he's been out like 6 weeks for us, which has hurt us because, guys getting used to playing with him. But he's a guy that can step right back in and will pick it up. And, offensively, the things we've done are new to him, but like he's been around. So he picks it up really quick. He came in, the other day, he can't go really live, but he can run some of our stuff. And I'm like, hey, just watch this. Coach, I got it. He got in, runs it great. And so having, even that kind of experience is huge for your program, for especially young kids. We have a few young kids haven't played Division I before. And so just see what it's all about, how these guys are pros and what they do.
Now, obviously, it's so important, the start to the season. I mentioned last year, you guys obviously had that start to the season. You didn't want going 5-6. Just kind of what is the key this year, and how important are you stressing maybe getting off to a little bit of a better start? I mean, it didn't affect you guys much last year, but just kind of how important is that? You got some tough games on the schedule against some Mountain West programs, a couple home games. I know some future Big West opponents on the schedule too. Just kind of what excites you about the early part of the schedule here?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a two thought process going on right with that. I mean, I think our preseason schedule is extremely difficult. Part of that we put together, part of that just comes to what it is. I think we play two of the top Mountain West teams out there, probably maybe number 1 and number 2 going in to start the season. So that's not real bright in our scheduling, but we go out there and we want to play. We want our team to learn and grow. I think last year what really happened is we learned a lot from those preseason games. We were traveling all over the country. I think at one time we were in Alabama. We played more games in Alabama than we played in Utah. We played 5 games in Alabama in the first month, and we only been home twice. And so some of that is a mid-major is what we have to deal with, right? We're going to go to San Diego State, which is nobody wants to go there. And
no,
but it's going to be a great learning experience for us, a great chance for us to go and see what we got. And obviously going to Boise State, which I'm from Boise, so it's always fun to go home there and play them. And they're a tremendous team down there, and what Coach Rice has going on there. So we have them. We have some really good teams at home. We have Irvine coming in here, who I think went undefeated last year on the road. So not really smart to play them here, but, we'll play them forever after this year. So it'll be great. And then we're really excited. We get to play at the Delta Center this year. We're playing Santa Barbara at the Delta Center. So that'll be a great game there as well. And so we put a lot of tough games in that preseason schedule, those first 13 games. But I do think it helps us get better. It helps us learn and grow. So as we get into WAC play, we're ready to go.
Are there benchmarks you're looking for throughout the preseason, the non-conference schedule that you're looking at this point? We want to be here, or just kind of go with the flow and try to make as much progress as you can in that short period of time?
Yeah. Maybe I'm not that smart, so I don't have benchmarks. Hey, we want to do this. I think what the preseason does for us a lot, and I think our staff's been really good, just not this last couple of years, but all 6 years even with Coach Mattson, is kind of figuring out now your team and our strengths and our weaknesses and changing what we're doing and learning from that and growing, whether we're adding to our offense, whether there's a guy now in the lineup, we change our lineup pretty regularly in the preseason to kind of get to what we needed to get to. And to be honest with you, it probably wasn't our best starting 5 guys that we started. It happened to be guys that impacted energy, impacted the start of games. We got off to a lot better start with certain guys. And then, we closed games with different guys. And so I think the preseason gives us a chance to do that. It gives you a chance to not just evaluate you guys, because I think we're evaluating all the time, but like now evaluating what we're doing as a system. We have sets and things we really like, but we're gonna change that. We're gonna add to that as the season goes along to best fit our personnel. And in the preseason, like, oh, this is what we think we have, and then I think we shoot the ball really well this year, better than we probably have the last 2 years. But they got to prove it, right? They got to do it in the games, and so we'll see what we have, and we'll change and adapt as we go from there. So the preseason really gives us a chance to do that, and I think our parameters obviously to win games. but our parameters is to continue to get better, to be playing our best basketball as we get into WAC play.
Part of that obviously is the bonding experiences and trying to get guys that are maybe still trying to learn each other and learn about each other, and some of the experiences you get to have. Obviously, going to Cancun helps with that. You mentioned you think you're going to have a good shooting team this year. Are there any other maybe calling cards or facets of this team you think will be strong, or you expect to be strong heading into the season, and especially going into WAC play?
Yeah, I think we'll shoot the ball really well. I like our bigs. One of our successes over the last 4 or 5 years has been multiple bigs. It's not like, hey, you have maybe your best guy, but you got 3 or 4 guys to step up. I think we have a group of 5 guys in the stable again who can give you solid minutes and big production on any night. And so I'm excited about that with those guys, not just going in and saying, oh crap, if John's not good tonight, we're in trouble in the post. I think we have multiple guys who can step up, and we got some young guys who are learning and growing that we're excited about there. So I think those 2 things are big. And, if you probably talked to me last year, it'd be the same 2 things. I probably thought we'd shoot a little bit better last year, and I thought our bigs were pretty good. And so I'm excited about those guys as well this year. But I think one of the things that we as coaches understand as we move forward is that getting the guys to buy in and believe in one another as much as they believe in the coaches and what the coaches are doing. And I think that's for us last year tremendously was our success as guys kind of got their roles, they fit into their roles, they bought into it, and then they expounded those roles, right? Sometimes say, hey, we just need you to be a rebounder. Yeah, be an elite rebounder, but also you can go for 15 one night. We don't care if you score a bunch of points sometimes. And so I think we had some guys do that last year that realized, hey, if I fulfill my role, now I can also do some other things to help us out. And they did a great job with that last year.
All right, Coach, before I get you out of here, obviously you guys got the season opener on November 4th on Tuesday. You got West Coast Baptist coming to Orem, games on ESPN+. Everybody who is in the area, make sure to go check that out. That's going to be an awesome season opener for them. But obviously with WAC play starting at the end of December, last year in the conference, I'm not sure how much of a put the goals on the whiteboard kind of coach you are, but just kind of, is that something in the back of your mind or even at the front of your mind about leaving this conference, the conference you guys have had success in recent years, leaving it on top? Obviously no Grand Canyon this year. So it's, I think all eyes are going to be on you guys going into the year, but just kind of, is that on the forefront of your mind of making sure you go out on top in this conference here?
I would say no. I'd say on the forefront is to win, right? Obviously to win another WAC title is at the forefront of our mind. I try not to get too much into that. Hey, we're leaving, this team's leaving as well. It's just to go out and have a great season. And it obviously would be great to win the WAC championship and go out that way. But, to continue to progress, get better and to win a championship and to win the next game, right? It's always about the next game here. And so it's to win the next game. And, but excited for that. I think it'll definitely be a unique year for the whole WAC in general. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. This is a great conversation, and best of luck this season. I'm hoping for the best for you guys out there.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
All right, that'll do it from today's episode of Basketball in the Mountains. Thanks again to Coach Todd Phillips of the Utah Valley Wolverines for joining to continue our 2025-26 season preview series here on Basketball in the Mountains. Like I said at the top of the show, if you missed the first part episode, make sure to go check that out with Wyoming coach Sundance Wicks. We're going to have some more coaches, some more special guests coming in the coming weeks before the season gets underway in the first week of November, like I said, so make sure to stay tuned for all of that. And to do so, make sure to subscribe, Spotify, Apple, wherever you prefer to listen to your podcast, or if you prefer to check all the episodes out on my YouTube channel at King_Tyler B is the channel that you can subscribe there, leave a comment, all that kind of stuff. On Spotify, you can leave a 5-star review. All of that is really appreciated by me and helps me grow the podcast. So thanks everybody for listening. Hope everybody is looking forward to getting ready for the season here, and stay tuned for what's next.